Thank you for joining us this evening to discuss our career pathways, and specifically our government and public administration, law, public safety, corrections, and social and human services pathway. We have some very distinguished guests with us this evening that I'd like to introduce. We have Professor and Program Coordinator from Harper College, Brad Grossman. We have Kathy Higgins-Mora, who's an attorney. We have Matt Mills, or Officer Matt Mills, the Community Relations Officer from the Buffalo Grove Police Department. We have Deputy Chief Tom Wang from the Mount Prospect Fire Department with us. We have Jonathan Kaminsky, a teacher at Prospect High School who teaches in our law pathway. Rita Thompson, who's also a teacher in District 214. I think it's Elk Grove. Is that correct, Rita?
That is correct.
Okay. And Jackie Aguayo, a student who's been in the law pathway and has actually done an internship as well. So we'll get started just by kind of going through. There's a couple of different paths that students can take in this pathway, as you can kind of see by the variety of occupations that we have with our panelists. Let's see. Here we go. So there is kind of like a more of a traditional law pathway where you're looking at going into a law career. We have several classes, including an American law class, which is kind of a basic foundational class that 9th and 10th graders can take. And following that, they can take constitutional law and criminal law. Then we actually have an advanced legal concepts and college legal research and argument, which is a dual credit course that's also offered at many of the high schools. We also have a criminal justice pathway. Again, where we have some of our law classes, but then some of the differences here at the end, students might go and take something along like an AP psychology. There's also an introduction to criminal justice and introduction to corrections course available to students that are interested in more of kind of like that criminal justice concept within the legal pathway. We also have a government and public administration strand. You can see, that there are a variety of different careers here. And if you look here, you can see some of our post-secondary classes that are preparatory, but again, they follow some of the same basic core classes, but then they typically have somewhat of a different, basically capstone classes that are a little bit more focused. We also have an emergency and fire management services pathway. This one is very exciting and very popular with some of our students. Obviously, you're looking at working in the fire department or as an EMT. We have, we usually starts with courses in our healthcare pathway. We've got then college medical terminologies, AP Psych, but then kids get to get real hands-on and actually go out and do some work at Harper and some of other facilities where they actually get real experience and training in preparation to be a firefighter or an EMT. And then there's also international relations, which is also a strand in this pathway. And this is a little bit different, doesn't have necessarily the law focus. It's more foundation in world language, but also some of our top level AP social studies courses, which is also exciting way to go. So with that, I'm going to take this down and we're going to get to asking some questions of our community partners that we have with us this evening. So I'll start with Kathy Higgins-Mora, attorney. Can you maybe describe for students and parents that are listening tonight, like what a normal day would look like as an attorney. And I know there's a variety of different attorneys, but I think just some basic general concepts that apply to most attorneys that kids would kind of give them a understanding of what a day might look like.
Sure. Good evening. Thanks for having me tonight. So my typical day involves what you might expect, a lot of paperwork, but the best part of my day is when I get to interact with clients. I have, a pretty good number of clients, and some of my cases are cases that last for years at a time. So on the one hand, I might be working with a client, very, very often for a week or so while we're preparing their case, or when their case has come to the point where it's about to be adjudicated and we're preparing for a hearing or preparing their paperwork to file. Other times, I might not hear from a client for the whole time it's pending. During the pandemic, lots of my cases have taken longer than usual. So it's a lot of stop and go, where I, might be working on a handful of cases at the same time. And then the next day working on totally different cases, but lots of paperwork, lots of communicating, whether it's in writing or orally with my clients. And then once I have communicated with my clients, I in turn represent them by communicating their argument or their evidence to the government to seek the benefit that we are looking for, whether it's citizenship or a green card or some kind of immigration status. So it's, again, a lot of communication, a lot of emails, a lot of phone calls, a lot of preparing documents, preparing evidence. And that's where I use interns like Jackie, which we'll get to, from School District 214 seems to be sending me some of their best students who have helped me out to prepare cases, communicate with clients, make arguments, put together evidence, and so forth. So really, it's a bunch of paperwork, but a lot of communication. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yes, great. Thank you. So Officer Mills, what training is necessary to obtain a job in a police department?
Beautiful thing about law enforcement is they will give you all the training you need as soon as you get hired. So I always encourage people, if you're interested in the military and going to the military, that's great preparation. But otherwise, as far as school goes, I would really pick a secondary career. A lot of people get into law enforcement and they've thought they wanted to be a police officer their whole life. And then after a year, they're like, wow, this is not what I expected. It's not like what it's like on TV. And then they're looking for another career. So I always recommend, think about a degree that you can fall back on, such as management, public administration, finance, law, social work, healthcare. Those are all things that if you do stick with law enforcement, it will really help you advance in your career. In Buffalo Grove, we're a $15 million agency. We have to do our own books and come up with our own budgets and everything. And luckily, we do have a couple of cops that do have finance degrees, but if you have that kind of specialty training, it'll really help you advance in your career. A lot of us go into college and we study criminal justice thinking, all right, that's what you study if you want to become a cop. But you'll learn everything you need to know in the police academy. So if you want to minor in criminal justice and take those classes, that's great. But think about, all right, if it doesn't work out in law enforcement, what else would I want to do? Is it social work? Are you getting into this because you want to help people? All right, get a degree in social work. Is that, law? I'm interested in the law. So if I don't want to be a police officer, maybe I can go into that field. So as far as education, that's what I would encourage people to do.
Great. And Deputy Chief Wang, how can a high school student begin to prepare for a career in the fire department?
Again, thanks for having me. I think one of the things that high school students can do is find out if they're really interested in the fire service. All the firefighters around this area and most everywhere have to be paramedics as well. One of the things that they can do after college is go to Harper or your local community college and start taking classes in fire science. And then one of the ways to become a paramedic is you'll need to take an EMT class, which is usually a semester-long class at a community college. And then that's basically the start. And then you can enroll into a paramedic program, which is after EMT. But I think one of the most important things a high school student can do is find out if this is a job they want to do. You can stop by a local fire department, talk to the firemen there, see if they're interested if you want to become a firefighter. And you can even ride along. I know we're working with District 214 and Kathy Wicks. We're looking to have a ride along program where you spend a day with all the firefighters and you go on calls and you get to see what a day in the life of a firefighter does. So most importantly, I would say the high school students, find out if you're interested, see what the job is about, talk to as many firefighters as you can, and then look to see if you can enroll in your local community college in like Harper or Oakton and start taking some fire science classes.
Thank you. So now we'll talk to a few of our dual credit partners. I neglected, I think Karen Swenson is with us now from Eastern Illinois University. Welcome, Karen, and thank you for joining us this evening. Karen, what are some of the major students in the pathway might enroll in at your institution, and what job opportunities would that lead to for them from EIU?
Yeah, thank you, Greg. I'd also like to introduce one of my students, Jalen Cunningham, who's here with us tonight. She went through 4 years at EIU with the political science major and the pre-law minor, and now she's back for a master's degree. So she could offer some perspective in addition to mine. But I teach the legal research and argument class at EIU that is often taught at D214. I see Jonathan Kaminsky, who's teaching it now, and Rita Thompson, who's taught it in the past and may teach it again. So I think that if your students are interested in a career in the law, and they would like to pick up a pre-law minor at EIU, they've already got one course under their belt for the pre-law minor. I stress the minor because pre-law is not a major at Eastern. Most of the students I work with desire to become attorneys, and I just need to say that any major is great for that. We have over 90 majors at EIU. As with police work, you will be taught how to be a lawyer and how to think like a lawyer when you're in law school. So it helps to have some preview in college, but they'll start you from scratch when you go to law school. So my goal is to prepare people for law school with the pre-law minor and other aspects of our program, such as Moot Court, where students can role play being lawyers and argue before the Supreme Court. I know that's an integral part of the legal research and argument class.
Thank you, Karen. And Jalen, maybe you'd like to just jump in here and talk just for a minute or so about your path to EIU and what you've been doing there.
Well, yes, my path to EIU, I got my undergraduate here and now I'm pursuing a master's degree. And with Moot Court, I think it's a great class and course that prepares students to decide whether they want to become a lawyer. And it also allows students to be able to see the perspectives of lawyers and the plaintiffs and the petitioners. So EIU prepared me for not only law school, but master's school as well.
Well, thank you for also joining us. We also have Brad Grossman, or Professor Brad Grossman, who's the program coordinator at Harper. And Brad, maybe you can tell us what are some of the benefits with enrolling at Harper as it relates to this pathway?
Thank you very much, Mr. Minter, and I appreciate meeting all of you this evening in this opportunity. One of the things I think that we at Harper take a lot of pride in is the years of practical experience. We have approximately 20 professors with over 500 years of practical experience, whether it's state's attorneys, whether it's forensics evidence technicians. Everyone has specific practical experience that they bring to the classroom. And I think that's one of the things we take the most pride in, as well as the facilities that we have. We have a mock apartment where we do a number of training scenarios to teach you. Our whole goal is when you come through our program is that you're going to be the best prepared as you head into the police academy so that you can separate yourselves. And even through the police officer selection process, our hope is that you will stand out. Just this past few weeks, we've had approximately 6 of our former students that have contacted me that I got to attend their police academy graduation, them getting hired by local police departments in the suburbs. So that's really what we try to do, is be a pipeline of those individuals interested in becoming police officers that come to our program, and we want to do our best to prepare them to get hired by local agencies, as well as our private security program. I just had a former student contact me. She just became the executive team lead at a Target stores, making $65,000 a year. I was super proud of her. She was so excited to tell me that because it was always minimum wage before for her. But we're just really excited about getting an opportunity to invest in students and prepare them for the career of their choice.
Great. Thank you, Professor Grossman. Now we'll turn to Mr. Kaminsky and Ms. Thompson, and I'll throw these questions out, and maybe you can both attack them since you probably have a somewhat similar or different experiences. So right now, what dual credit courses are available to students in this pathway? And I should preface this because I know we do have a lot of incoming freshman parents and students who might be listening tonight. What dual credit is referring to is you can take classes in our high schools that will earn college credit. Karen Swenson mentioned a class that she teaches at EIU that I know Mr. Kaminsky teaches currently at Prospect, and Ms. Thompson, I believe you're either currently teaching it or have taught it in the past. So is that the only dual credit that we have course in our pathway currently, or do we have some other options? Or we do have some other options for sure with Harper. That's for certain. So, but maybe in your arena, could you tell us a little bit more about what that class looks like and what experiences the students have?
Jonathan, I'll start and talk about part one of the course here. The dual credit actually comes in as the second semester of what we consider our capstone course. So the first semester does not have dual credit. That is called Advanced Legal Concepts. At Elk Grove, that's where we focus on your trial techniques. So we place you in law firms, and we have a series of trials where you get experience doing everything from opening statements to direct examination, cross-examination, closing statements, analyzing cases and evidence, creating case theory, all of that. So it's a mixture of research and writing and public speaking. And then we begin to build upon that, thinking about appeals. And that's really the foundation of the second semester course.
And our Advanced Legal Concepts runs very similar, but a little different. We have it currently second semester at Prospect High School, and it offers kids, especially second semester seniors, the chance to kind of try on the different hats that may be available both in the legal sphere and ones that are related to it as well. So just to talk about the non-dual credit one first with that Advanced Legal Concepts, is some students realized after that very intensive legal course for a lot of them, that it might not be exactly what they wanted to become a lawyer, but they started to really fall in love with different aspects of the legal field. So I was talking to a student today who wasn't former student who wasn't sure if they were going to be a lawyer anymore, but she is working in international relations and just was very excited that she is, as a freshman, getting to moderate a panel discussion with undergraduate and graduate students on Polish-American international relations at her university. And that's what I think is the best part about the dual credit option, is the legal field is so far away, as Professor Swanson talked about, where you have a non-law major that you're looking to take. So you're 4 years away once you graduate from your high school experience to being able to actually dive into a legal field. And that's what I think is the best part about our dual credit class is it is challenging. It is a new language, and it allows the kids a glimpse into what that future may be for 4 years, because the worst experience you could have is to be extremely excited about it, to do 4 years of an undergrad with that as your only goal in mind and get to your first semester of law school as a 23-year-old and realize this isn't for you. So I think that dual credit class and the rigor that it's associated with it is a great stepping stone to kind of figure out if this field and if this topic is one that you're interested in, kind of as Officer Mills said. But the only direct legal dual credit class is that one that exists with that advanced with the class that Professor Swenson teaches, but the other ones with the fire safety and with the public safety elements with our partners exist into those elements as well.
Great, thank you. I just wanted to let some of the people know who are with us tonight. If you have a question that you would like to ask, please write it into the chat, and we will I will try to get those questions and get to those questions and get them responded to by our panelists. We're also very fortunate to have Jackie Aguayo with us. Jackie, you're a student at Elk Grove, correct, Jackie?
I am a math student at Hersey.
Oh, at Hersey. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
No, I'm sorry, I missed that. So maybe tell us a little bit about your experience in the pathway outside of the classroom. What have you done?
So I had the privilege to work with Ms. Higgins at her law office. So I had a 30-hour micro internship where I basically got firsthand experience on what it is to be a typical day as an immigration lawyer. So I helped her with clients, so like making briefs and like casework, sitting in on consultations, and just learning everyday tasks that it involves. I would basically go in like 2-3 times a week over the summer and just work on different cases and updates. We would, because she does focus on immigration, we would set up meetings and consultations with her clients to talk about like updates in their citizenship and what it takes the process. I also had the privilege to go with her with one of her clients to take his naturalization test. And it was really exciting because these are experiences that you don't get in a typical life. A lot of people, these internships allow you to have firsthand experience and to get personally connected in a field that you're most passionate about. And by taking these classes and taking the opportunities as an internship, you get your own experience and get to, I guess, find the beauty of what it is in a career pathway so early on, because the earlier you find what you're eager to do or you're passionate about, the easier it is in college. The less classes you have to take, the less money you have to spend. And I feel like the more you put yourself out there, the better it is, because you find out what you're most passionate in. And these internships and these opportunities really allow you that. And D214 does a really good job in allowing students and giving them those opportunities. So take advantage of that.
Thanks, Jackie. Just a kind of a follow-up. So did you have some specific coursework that you believed helped to prepare you for your internship and some of that experience outside of school?
So I kind of did. I kind of took like all the classes. So like I've taken American law, I've taken constitutional and civil law. I'm currently taking AP government. So like all of these classroom experiences have really built my knowledge on what it takes and concepts, and they really help me understand more what it's like to be in lawyer or in terminology, So because I did take these classes and they really helped me solidify my opinion and my thoughts in going to the law pathway, I was able to understand what was going on a lot easier. And because I did have this prior knowledge, and those classes are very educational and teachers are very, very helpful. And yeah, I really like that. It was helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. We have a question from one of our participants here. And I'll direct it to Professor Grossman, I guess first, but anyone else can please feel free to chime in. The question is, could this career pathway lead to the FBI, CIA, or other special intelligence units?
Well, that's an excellent question. And ironically, I believe it was 3 months ago, I had one of my first students get hired as an FBI surveillance specialist. So that was one of the first. I know we've had CBP and DHS, Department of Homeland Security, but Taylor English is her name, and she started as an FBI surveillance specialist. I want to say it was 3 months ago, with the hopes of, it's almost like she's in this position to prove herself with the opportunity to become an FBI agent after that. So yes, it can prepare you for that. But obviously for the FBI, they require a bachelor's degree. So it would be one of those that you would want to transfer to a 4-year degree after Harper College. But yes, it could definitely prepare you for that. She specifically told me when she called, very excited, because that was one of her references. And she said that she cannot believe how much the Harper's law enforcement program helped prepare her for getting this position. Because we try to also put you through mock interviews as well, preparing for that police or some criminal justice interview as well. So, but that was a great question. Thanks for asking.
Okay, great. Someone else has asked, what is in the law career pathway as far as school electives? And John, maybe you can kind of give kind of an overview of what we have at Prospect, and which is fairly typical at all of the high schools.
So either as students freshman or sophomore year, depending upon the school, would start with the American Law single semester course that kind of is an overview of the entire legal system, focusing on both mock trials, which are offered in it, but then also the basics of the Constitution and police work. At that point, a lot of the students end up matriculating to 2 also single semester classes. One is criminal and civil law, and one is constitutional law. And that's where they start to dive even more deeply into those fields. And that tends to be people who are very, or at least, more interested, and were able to get hooked on, kind of this pathway in the American law class, with more mock trials and then moot trials adding into the constitutional law. And then oftentimes their junior or senior year is where they take that dual credit class that's been talked about before, in that advanced legal concepts. So there is kind of a multi-year pathway towards that system that ends up, working and building as those skills and interest level increase throughout the process.
Okay. Deputy Chief Wang, maybe you could talk a little bit about, are there jobs in your line of work right now? Are you looking for people? Are you looking to hire people that are prepared?
Yeah, definitely. One of the big things is when we know people are interested in the fire service, those like I talked about earlier, the students understand that I have to become a paramedic as well. So a lot of times when a student takes the initiative to go to Harper College and obtain their EMT license and then go to paramedic school afterward, it definitely shows an initiative that they want to be hired on a fire department. And then definitely when you're taking tests for multiple municipalities, a lot of times having a paramedic license also gives you extra points. So when you're taking the test to become a firefighter paramedic, a lot of times you take a written test, and that written test posts your score, but then you can get extra points for being a paramedic. So when we see something like that, or when we see students that are working towards getting things done, that we would send new hires to paramedic school too, but sometimes when they can get that done ahead of time, it makes them really stand out.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'm sorry, Karen, is it Dr. Swenson? I just want to make sure I have your title right.
Yeah, I do have a PhD, so my students call me that, or Professor Swenson.
Okay. Question for you. student has a question. Would this pathway help if we want to become like a higher up government official instead of a law enforcement person or a lawyer?
For that, I would recommend a degree in political science. I don't think that you would have to have the pre-law minor specifically, but it would help to have that master's degree in political science. We do well at EIU in placing some of our master's students, well, not initially as a high up government official, but as an assistant to a member of the House or the Senate, as a researcher for a committee for in the Congress or the Illinois legislature, even working as a lobbyist. And from there, you can work your way up. Although for any of that, it certainly doesn't hurt to have a law degree. It's always an impressive add-on to have that law degree, even if you don't go into a traditional attorney position. Jalen, I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
Yes, I'm also interested in politics. So I'm route as well by getting my master's in political science. Like Dr. Swenson said, you may want to major in political science or probably even public administration as well. It's also something to consider.
And Kathy, what is the most rewarding thing about practicing law for you?
Oh, this is an easy one. So, I mean, the work that I do and that Jackie helped me with over the summer is in many ways, and almost every case, life-changing. I mean, if you know anybody who's become a citizen or gotten a green card, it's like a big day in their life, and it takes so much effort in some cases to get there. So I just have the reward of seeing families' lives, families getting so many more opportunities when they're granted the benefit that they've sought. And I'm just a little part of it, but I get to see the glory of it all. So it's just amazing that it's all worthwhile, all the millions of phone calls and panicked clients at the last minute, and people needing help in many aspects, lots of different ways. It's just also rewarding when the benefit is finally granted and people come back and they say, I got DACA, and because I got DACA status, I'm going to get to go to college. And I never in a million years thought that I was going to get to have this great opportunity. Or someone becomes a citizen and said, I finally get to petition my family member who I've been separated from for all these years. So that's the most amazing part of it.
Thank you. And Officer Mills, you had touched upon earlier just the variety of different roles that there are within the police department, that it's not just what we might all see on TV every day. Could you maybe just expand a little bit upon some of those different roles? So if there's a student who thinks they maybe are interested in law enforcement, just has a better idea of what that really might entail.
Sure, there are a lot of specialties that police officers can go into. After you're on the force for a couple of years, you become eligible. You can become a school resource officer if you like working with kids and teenagers, and that's what you want to do with your life. And those opportunities are there. We have elderly service officers for people that like focusing on the elderly population and making sure that they're not victimized and keeping them safe. We have the canine officer if you like dogs. We have all kinds of different things. We have traffic, we have evidence technicians, we have investigators. So even after you're a police officer for a couple of years, there are a lot of different areas you can go into as far as what your passion is. And then as you advance through your career, again, that's when a lot of things that you might not think of as traditional police work comes into play, as far as management and just doing lots of spreadsheets and budgeting and stuff like that. Or if you do have those skills, if you can pick those up along your way, then those are really going to come in helpful later on.
Thank you. And Rita, maybe you, as someone who has a variety of experience, and as a teacher and as a lawyer, what do you see as the real benefit to students who decide to explore classes in this pathway?
Thank you for that question. I think the real benefit comes in two areas. Number one, college is expensive. It's really nice to have the opportunity to explore areas and think about where your strengths are and what you're really interested in, and learn more about what's involved with a particular area. Before, you were spending the big bucks at college, and a lot of students are hesitant when they go to college. They don't know what to major in. They're afraid they're going to waste their money. And this is an excellent way to explore areas and find out what you're interested in, learn more about yourself, make some excellent contacts in the field, do far more than just traditional classroom work, but really find those opportunities, just like Jackie did, to get into the community and see these professionals work. I think that's invaluable. I can't imagine what these kinds of opportunities would have done for me at that age, because certainly nothing like this had ever been envisioned for my high school district growing up. So I'm very jealous of today's students. The other great option is that, especially for students who are coming from families that maybe don't have a strong background themselves, maybe the parents didn't attend college or didn't do a traditional educational pathway. You've got a lot of learning to do, and it can be overwhelming. People talking about undergraduate and junior college and then graduate work and all these things. And the law pathway allows you to investigate options and to learn about all the student educational pathways that you're going to be able to take when you leave District 214, and really think about that and learn that way before the moment where you need to put money down, you need to make some decisions. So I think it can save you time and money, really give you an excellent opportunity to get out in the community and learn about these rich opportunities that are all around you.
Thank you very much. I do want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. I want to thank our panelists for giving us their time and their insight and sharing, obviously, something that they're very passionate about. And I want to just kind of emphasize, what both Jackie and Rita have both talked about, is that these are really some excellent opportunities for kids to explore some of their interests and do so in a way where there's little to there's really no cost involved here. And the whole point of the pathway is not to lock kids into any one specific thing, but we really do encourage kids to explore what they're interested in. And you can switch, you can move around. We don't lock you in. So I want, parents and students to be thinking about, what pathway they might be interested in, but I also don't want you to think that it's going to lock you into one thing once you've made that decision. You can move around from semester to semester to semester, just exploring as much as you want. But we're hoping, that you maybe do find something that you really enjoy, and that you'll kind of like dive down a little bit of a deeper path while you're still with us in 214. Professor Grossman, yes, Professor Grossman has also, suggested that I, remind people that there is the Harper Promise Scholarship that is a great way to pay for college. Your GPA, attendance, and community service are three of the key components. And, your school counselor can talk to you about that. You could also visit the Harper website to learn more about the Harper Promise. But it is a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for students to get some of their, at least their associate's degree paid for. So it's really, really a great opportunity. And we really love our partnership with Harper College around this program. So I just do want to thank everyone again for joining us. Panelists, thank you again for your insight and passion for your for your professions. And thank you, students and parents, for being with us tonight and for throwing some questions our way. So with that, I'd say have a good evening, everybody. And if you do have any questions, please feel free. You could look me up online. It's greg.minter@d214.org, and send any other questions that you might have my way, and either I'll get back to you or I will have someone who's maybe more of an expert in that with your specific question get back to you. Okay, have a great evening, everybody.